Madam President, I have the honor to present to you and the members of the Board of Trustees, the faculty and the class of 2014 of Barnard College, who are assembled here today for the presentation of degree candidates.
I am pleased to declare this 122nd ceremony of the presentation of Barnard degree candidates now open. It is my honor to present Jolene Caruso Fitzgerald, Chair of the Barnard Board of Trustees, who brings greetings from the board.
Thank you, Deborah. Wow. To the graduating class of 2014, I bring greetings and warmest wishes from the Barnard Board of Trustees. It is truly a pleasure to be at Radio City Music Hall again this year in this spectacular space with all of you. Each year, as I begin to think about the message that I hope to convey to our graduates, I often reflect upon my experiences and the many memories I have from my association with Barnard. This year, it brought to mind my grandfather and his infinite wisdom about life. I'm blessed to have grown up with all my grandparents. In fact, my grandmother is still independent and sharp at 95 years old. She was not a Barnard woman. Her husband, Albert, was one of my favorite people, and from him, I learned many life lessons. Time and again, he would advise us to always take inventory. As a child, I never quite understood the phrase, and I always thought that he was referring to the tools in his workshop. It wasn't until my teen years that I began to fully comprehend just what my grandfather meant. He was often taking inventory, not by counting his physical possessions, but by reflecting on the good and the bad that life had given him. He would always find the scales tipped to the positive, which led to the cheerful countenance that defined him throughout his long and meaningful life. As I think about my own life's inventory, I immediately count my family, my dear friends, followed by my work for which I have great passion. But inevitably and consistently, I count Barnard. Why is Barnard among my most cherished possessions? Is it the outstanding education and the lifelong friends that it has afforded me? Of course, but there's so much more. Barnard has been a core part of my life because I chose to nurture a relationship that continues to add so much good to my life's inventory. Whether seeking a business connection to help me with my business startup, a doctor in a time of need, a student to fill an internship, a course or lecture to sit in on, my husband, Sean, a Columbia grad whom I met my freshman year. Everything always comes back to Barnard. I am privileged to chair Barnard's board and work with the outstanding faculty, the dedicated administration, and our brilliant and brainy students who continue to teach me so much. So I hope today, as you exit the gates as proud graduates, that you will count Barnard among your greatest and most prized possessions. I hope that you will reflect on the meaning of your education and your 4 years here, and that you will make it a priority to stay connected. We all look forward to seeing you back on campus, to celebrating with you at your reunions, and we can't wait to see how your lives unfold. And I truly hope that you too will often take inventory, and that when you do, that Barnard is right up there at the top of your list. Congratulations and Godspeed.
Good afternoon. My name is Linda Bell, and I am the Provost and Dean of the faculty. And it is my distinct honor and pleasure to stand before you
on behalf of the wonderful Barnard faculty, to offer warm congratulations to the class of 2014 graduates and to your proud families and your friends. Congratulations. There is no doubt about it, the faculty of Barnard College has taught you well. They are distinguished scholars and committed educators who have modeled excellence in their disciplines and in the classroom. Today, they have the privilege of honoring you with a special gift: the tools to excel in the disciplines in which you've been trained, and to write and speak with clarity and force, and the knowledge to question with precision and tenacity that which is unclear and that which is false. Having learned well, you now hold the critical skills and necessary tools to advance knowledge, and through this knowledge, to advance society. Use this gift wisely. Grow this gift collectively. For all that you've learned as a student in the classroom is but a small part of your Barnard journey. Whether in your professional career, your civic lives, or your family and community, however you define these spheres, remember that progress is incremental, change is essential, and the collective force of a group is far more significant than the sum of the individuals who comprise it. Use your skills, acquired from 4 challenging years of mastering your disciplines. Use your teamwork, acquired from 4 years of living and working alongside your beautiful, smart, and strong Barnard classmates, and leave here empowered and emboldened to make your space and your place energized, better, and more humane. The faculty is, of course, well aware of the challenges you face when you leave Barnard, but we have great faith in you. We've seen you shine in your essays, in your labs, in your performances, in your presentations, and on your exams. We've also seen you shine when you rally together for the good of the other, for the principle of difference, and for the cause of community. We have every confidence in your ability, your brilliance, and your commitment. So take your Barnard education forward into this world. That gift that you have been given, that gift that you have so richly earned, and be defiant when faced with adversity. Be triumphant in your successes. Remain committed to your passions, and as always, be that bold Barnard graduate who knows how to make a difference, unique for sure, yet an essential part of the other. My warmest congratulations, Barnard graduates.
Good afternoon, President Spar, trustees, Barnard faculty, family, friends, and most importantly, good afternoon to the wonderful class of 2014. My name is Stephanie Fernandez. I'm the senior class president, and it is an honor to be here and to speak to you all today. I want to give a special thank you to everyone who has supported our journeys over the last 4 years. Loved ones in the audience and Barnard faculty. Gracias, Mami, Papi, por todo. My brother Manny and my loved ones here in the audience today. That's right. I remember the first day of classes at Barnard. My first year English, Legacies of the Mediterranean, was my first class. I sat in the room and listened to everyone's comments and thoughts with admiration and awe. I left class feeling insecure and unintelligent as I compared myself to the other students. Throughout my first year, speaking up in class was extremely frightening. Throughout the few times that I raised my hands, I shivered uncontrollably, filled my statements with qualifiers, feared having a Spanish accent, worried about mispronouncing words, and most importantly, was concerned with not sounding smart enough. The competitive environments that we have been in and will continue to be in post-graduation do not encourage us to radically care and love others. Radical care and love has a large impact and can come in small ways, including the simple acts of listening and being present. The realization that we are greater than our individual selves and that our successes are part of a larger force is core to this practice. I have yet to master this practice, as there are times when it feels easy to share love and care for others, but admittedly, there are times when it becomes extremely difficult to do so. I feel fortunate that here at Barnard and at home, I have had examples of radical care and love to draw upon. Growing up, I witnessed how my parents exemplified love and care amidst many difficulties. Though my parents' salary was barely enough to put food on the table, his work was carried out with integrity and dedication. My parents navigated their way through a country and language foreign to them in order to ensure that my brother and I receive an education. My parents, like so many other parents here today, may not understand fully what it is that I do on campus, but they never cease to express their concerns about my sleeping and eating habits. I once picked up a pin that read, "Barnard, changing the world one woman at a time." I believe that one can change the world by loving it, and perhaps, more importantly, by loving the people within it. Changing the world through love can come in the form of encouraging and helping one another, and acknowledging that as women and allies, we are not competitors, but stand in solidarity as a force. Our world has been scarred with historical wounds that today manifest themselves in the form of sexism, racism, classism, homophobia, amongst other forms of oppression. One of our generation's challenge is to provide love and care to this world that has been so deeply hurt. We can draw upon examples from our last 4 years at Barnard to respond to this challenge. We have already demonstrated the significance of loving and caring for each other through our activist groups pushing for more inclusive spaces, Heritage Month calendars that help us understand our different cultures, community service programs offering tutoring to students in Harlem, or our classroom debates where we sought solution to some of today's most pressing issues. Most importantly, we have demonstrated the significance of loving and caring in our small acts of kindness, sending encouraging notes to friends, delivering snacks to the library, aka butler, amidst thesis writing, or giving that much-needed hug during our roughest days. I would never forget my first-year roommate's listening ear as we struggled to adjust to college life. The acts are powerful because though there are larger systemic issues that we need to fight against, changing the world with love begins in our daily practices. Maya Angelou said, "At the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or did, but they will remember how you made them feel." Though I have felt insecure and have struggled with belonging, Barnard has made me feel and realize that my voice and concerns are valuable. Class of 2014. Through Barnard, our lives and our stories are linked to one another. As we continue to mature and get ready to go out into the world, let us bring what we have shared in the last 4 years into every day of our lives. Let us remember how to overcome insecurity and fear, to believe in our own voice and strength. Let us remember to listen and to support each other. Let us remember to think critically and not settle for easy answers. Let us remember that we don't know everything and that it's okay to ask questions. Let us remember to share love with those who are struggling for survival. Let us remember to hold love as a grounding principle in all that we set forth to do. Class of 2014, let us remember how we feel on this day. Triumphant, loved, celebrated, and a strong sense of community. Barnard brought us together, and though our paths now diverge, we remain ever connected. Congratulations to my classmates, and a big thank you to our families and friends. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Maddie Popkin, and this year I've had the incredible opportunity to lead the Student Government Association. Wow, there are so many of you here. Thank you so much for being here. To President Spar and Dean Hinkson, to the trustees, to all of the administrators, professors, staff, families, and friends for the support, wisdom, and love you have given us over the past 4 years. As the president of SGA, tradition allows me the privilege of speaking with you all today. I say with rather than to, even though this doesn't appear to be much of a conversation, because what I have written certainly does not originate with me, and I hope it doesn't end here either. So we're here. It's commencement. Today, we are going to begin the rest of our lives. And in order to talk about the future, I'd like to start by thinking about the past that we share, what brings us here today. So at Barnard, we got our start in 1889 after the 10th president of Columbia, Frederick A.P. Barnard, failed in his campaign for the admission of women into Columbia College. President Barnard believed in the idea that women should have access to education. His proposal failed. The trustees rejected it because at that time, the future was not meant for women. It did not belong to us. As Barnard students, we inherit this feminist legacy, this commitment to just and accessible education. This is our shared past, but it's also our shared future. Because what links us to those early activists is this idea that the present demands that we imagine a future that is better than the one we are given. We are the future those early pioneers dreamed up. 125 years later, we are, of course, very different from what they imagined. For example, my Barnard experience has been nourished by our queer and social justice communities, and and invaluably shaped by my major, women's, gender, and sexuality studies. A major that was unthinkable in President Barnard's day. He definitely would have been puzzled by my use of the word queer, as I imagine many of you might be too, because its current usage is pretty new. But don't worry if that's you. I've had to explain it to my own family many, many times. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Sam. So I'm going to explain it to you too. So in general, queer is what the Q stands for at the end of LGBTQ, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer. It is a word that has been reclaimed from its derogatory uses. Today, we use it to mean a non-normative sexual or gender identity. Over the course of my time and studies at Barnard, my queerness has come to mean a lot of things for me. Primarily, it is a way of being in the world, of being myself, of being with, for, and through others. So what does queerness have to do with the future? Well, as the late and incredible thinker Jose Esteban Munoz suggests, quote, "If queerness is to have any value whatsoever, it must be viewed as being visible only in the horizon," end quote. As such, queerness fundamentally rejects the idea that the now is good enough, that we've come far enough in addressing and dismantling the structures of power and oppression that continue to make life really hard for a lot of people. In other words, queerness is a commitment to interrogating the present in order to enact a better future. And isn't that what a Barnard education is all about? Class of 2014, we've already started imagining and creating the better world we seek to live in. And we have done that together. We've learned the lessons of history in classrooms. We've dismantled the patriarchy on Lehman Lawn. We've practiced self-care in a Well Woman workshop. And we've advocated for solutions to our fellow students' needs at SGA rep councils. Whew. So now, as we go off to become lawyers, consultants, healers, chemists, activists, rocket scientists, we will still carry Barnard with us wherever we go, as she has carried us for the last 4 years. I am honored and so excited to leave here today an alumna of Barnard College, knowing that Barnard's commitment to just and equitable education is alive and well. You can see it on our campus and in our community today, that Barnard will continue to be a place that we are proud of. As I graduate today, I am confident that we will stay true to our commitment to provide quality education to all women, not just those of us who are considered to have a female body, but trans women too. I am confident that the needs and voices of the students will continue to be heard and taken seriously. I am confident that our community will be a space for all student activism to thrive, a place where impactful work will continue to be done by groups like Students for Justice in Palestine and students working to end sexual violence by challenging the cultures that make it possible. I am confident that this will be a space where Barnard students can continue to enact a better future, together, on and off campus. So today, we are sent off this stage with the charge of changing the world. As we do that, let's acknowledge those who are not yet here with us, as well as all of those who came before us and who bring us, the class of 2014, to this commencement. Here's to the last 125 years, and here's to the next 125 more. Because we are here, we are together, we are committed to a better future, and like us Barnard students, that is bold and that is beautiful.
Thank you to Stephanie and to Maddie. In 1931, Barnard established the Frank Gilbert Bryson Prize to recognize the senior who receives the most votes of her classmates for her contribution to Barnard during her college years. In keeping with tradition, no one in the class, including the recipient, knows the outcome of the balloting until it is announced at this ceremony. This year's Bryson's Prize is awarded to Lacey Tompkins. Congratulations, Lacey. This is a great honor and totally well-deserved.
Congratulations, class of 2014.
We did it!
I am Janelle Fong.
And I am Alvina Kafalis.
And we are your Senior Fund co-chairs.
As we have said all year, our class gift is not only a way for us to leave our mark on Barnard, but to also show our appreciation for all the ways in which the college has shaped us into the women we are today.
Our goal was to give every senior the opportunity to make the senior class gift a meaningful one that spoke to all of us. Incorporating the wishes of our entire class, we are pleased to announce that the class of 2014 is presenting a two-part gift to the college.
The first part of our gift is the restoration of the Greek Games statue. She is a symbol of the strength of the Barnard community and has been here to welcome nearly 100 years of students to campus. With this gift, we are literally leaving campus a little brighter than when we arrived.
Like the statue, our class is committed to carrying the torch for the generations of Barnard women to come. To that end, the second part of our gift will be financial aid to a student in the entering class of 2018.
So many extraordinary members of our community have helped to energize our class by showing their own support of our efforts and our legacy. We are deeply humbled by and grateful to them for helping us make our golden mark and we would like to take this opportunity to thank them.
Thank you to President Spar, Dean Hinkson and Dean Friedman, the Athena Center for Leadership Studies, alumni Mary Ann Lofrumeno, President of the Alumni Association of Barnard College and member of the class of 1977, and Anne Marie Halstead, class of 1989.
On behalf of the entire 2014 Senior Fund Committee, we are pleased to announce that we have raised a grand total of $26,000 to preserve Barnard's past and ensure its future for students to come.
And we are thrilled that we have reached 72% participation. None of this would have been possible without the support from each and every one of you and the hard work of all the members of the Senior Fund Committee who have been so generous with their time and money.
Our senior class gift is our first step as new alumni. We hope that the spirit of giving that you helped us to create resonates with you for years to come, and that we always give back to Barnard. A heartfelt congratulations to the class of 2014 for our success.
We look forward to what's ahead for each and every one of you, and to celebrating our accomplishments next year at our first reunion. Thank you.
President Spar, distinguished trustees, my dear professors, family, and friends, good afternoon. I'm Rocky Solomon. I'd like to share a story with you about a reading assignment that shaped my Barnard experience. My first-year English class was called Legacy of the Mediterranean. We were reading a poem by T.S. Eliot called Hysteria, and here's how it began. As she laughed, I was aware of becoming involved in her laughter and being part of it until her teeth were only accidental stars. I was drawn in by short gasps, inhaled at each momentary recovery, lost finally in the dark caverns of her throat, bruised by the ripple of unseen muscles. The poem's derisive and dismissive words hit me like a runaway locomotive. Was Eliot really so threatened by the sound of a woman's laughter? My hand shot up, but immediately it fell back down. Hey, I was just a first year. Who was I to challenge the sacred male literary canon? Who was I to tell my class that this page of poetry was saturated with derogatory slander against women? But Barnard, you have shown me that I have a strong voice. You have taught me that I'm entitled to laugh. We, as women, have the right to laugh. And when we do, our laugh is the laugh of irony. After centuries of subjugation, we stand here in ceremonies like ours as free members of society. Our laugh is the laugh of generations. We have laughed in our fight to create life-affirming institutions like Barnard. Our laugh is the laugh of the future. We will never stop fighting for gender equality. During my semester abroad in Cape Town, I laughed with courageous women who fought for social justice. I have laughed with my fellow anthropology majors as we've struggled to find our moral compass. With all due respect, Mr. Elliott, the woman you described is and will forever be my role model. She is larger than life because she disturbed the rotational movement of the earth. She is my grandmother Shirley, class of 47. My mother Joanne, class of 80. My older sister Mira, class of 12. And my fellow graduates, class of 2014. Shakespeare said, "With mirth and laughter, let old wrinkles come." 4 years later, and I ask myself, who is laughing now, Mr. Elliott? Look at us laugh. We are laughing because we are women who can never be silenced. We will laugh in the face of adversity. We will laugh our way to the head of the table. Dear friends, let us laugh from the gates of Broadway to wherever our futures may lead. Congratulations, class of 2014. Never stop laughing.
Wow. We turn now to one of the most important moments of our commencement, the presentation of the Barnard Medals of Distinction to individuals who represent the college's ideals of excellence, innovation, intellectual curiosity, and service.
Hello, class of 2014. My name is Tara Burns. I'm a senior and a history major, and I am honored to present the citation to Mahzarin Banaji. Mahzarin R. Banaji, social psychologist, celebrated researcher, esteemed Harvard University professor, we recognize the face of brilliance in you. Even as a 5-year-old in Secundrabad, India, you defied stereotypes, teaching 4-year-olds to write at home in your mother's school. She was always a step ahead in her vision for your future. You pictured life as a secretary, but she insisted on college, at least one semester. With that kickstart, you were academia born, from the liberal arts at Nizam College to general psychology at JNU in Delhi. Then, on the train home for the holidays, you bought 5 volumes of the Handbook of Social Psychology for $5, mostly because you couldn't resist the deal. 1 volume in, and you knew that this particular science, with its focus on process and experiment, was meant for you. There are a few moments, you say, as if to each of us, when a course of action presents itself with such clarity that there is nothing to do but pursue it. Next steps, a PhD from the preeminent program at Ohio State, a University of Washington postdoc, and then 15 years at Yale to pursue and put your stamp on the field of unconscious bias. You call the teaching award you received there your most prized recognition, and there have been many. In 2002, you were invited to Harvard by now President Drew Faust to continue your revolutionary work and your undeniable influence on scores of students. mentoring undergraduates and young women in science, many just like us. You explore social cognition, identify consequences of favoritism, and reveal the startling power of mental processes that occur outside our awareness. In 2013, you co-authored the acclaimed book, Blind Spot, Hidden Biases of Good People, illuminating the way we think about our prejudices and our decisions. Your suggestion that we direct some effort to those beyond our circle of familiarity is a lesson worth learning for us all. And you learn lessons that you now pass on. To credit your mentors, persevere in the face of criticism, and never hesitate to turn long-held perceptions upside down. For this and more, Professor Banaji, on behalf of my alma mater and my classmates poised for greatness, it is an honor to present you with the 2014 Medal of Distinction, along with our intentional, impartial, and very conscious thanks.
Hello, I am Linda Fain Levinson, a Barnard alumna and a trustee, and I'm honored to present this citation to Ursula Burns. Ursula M. Burns, leader of Xerox, innovator in business, woman at the helm, often imitated, never duplicated. Your story of success enthralls us. To get here, you started there, just a few miles south in a Lower East Side housing project. Your wise and intuitive single mom sent you to a good Catholic school in spite of modest means. She wasn't going to let your circumstances outshine your potential, instilling courage and confidence, along with this reminder: where you were didn't define who you were. You listened, despite some trepidation, taking your super math skills to NYU's Polytechnic Institute and then Columbia University. You earned undergraduate and graduate degrees in mechanical engineering, bypassing the holy trinity of expected careers: teacher, nurse, and nun. At age 22, with nothing but the badge of a Polytechnic summer intern and the stride of a New Yorker, you walked in the doors of the company you now run. 2 decades and many successes later, you became Senior Vice President for Strategic Services, and soon thereafter, President of the Business Group Operations, with a $12.5 billion organization under your watchful eye. In 2009, after being named CEO, you orchestrated the largest acquisition in Xerox's history, moving the century-old company into a vast new realm. Then, in what the New York Times called a transition for the record books, you were named chairman in May 2010. I should say chairperson. The first African-American woman ever to lead a Fortune 500 company. We're talking about more than 140,000 employees, 12,000 active US patents, clients in over 180 countries, upwards of 21 billion in annual revenues, and 2.5 million customer interactions every day. And somehow, you manage to keep your cool and your love for a job that seems made to measure. At Xerox, you've never been bored. You've never felt the pressure to fit in, hold back, or succumb to the status quo. You crave challenges, speak your mind, and encourage your staff to do the same. And you continue to make a brand so famous that its name is used as a verb, even more global, more revolutionary, and more influential. To your niece, Tara Burns, here on this stage, you are Auntie Maxine, always genuine and always an inspiration. And for Tara and every one of her classmates, there are countless hours ahead to gather around the Xerox machine and talk about work and life, hopes and dreams. So today, on behalf of all that potential and all you've done to pave the way, it is my sincere pleasure to present you with the 2014 Barnard Medal of Honor.
Hello, I'm Peter Platt, professor of English, and I'm honored to present the citation to Patti Smith. Patti Smith, singer, songwriter, poet, performer, guardian angel of the artful life. You cross genre, bend gender, capture our imaginations, and blow our minds. You were Chicago-born and New Jersey-raised, but bred in the guts of New York City. You arrived here in the late 60s at a time when the streets were gritty, the characters weird and wild, and the lines of public and private blurred in the glow of the neon lights. You and Robert Mapplethorpe converged and vowed never to let go. From your small universe at the Chelsea Hotel to Max's Kansas City, from a bottomless cup at the corner diner to the benches of Tompkins Square Park. You shaped each other with the city in your souls. A 1971 poetry reading at St. Mark's Church led to early recordings and an 8-week gig at the famous and infamous CBGB's in 1975. Then came Horses, your first studio album, and your first dance with fame. It's often cited as one of the greatest albums in rock music history, and you were deemed in a review in Rolling Stone as an original as they come. When you brought that signature to your 1976 performance of Gloria on Saturday Night Live, it was a pulsing, mad punk, feminist moment that slays us still, nearly 40 years later. But even an original has debts. You tip your hat to Baudelaire, Burroughs and Ginsberg, the Brontes, the Beats, and William Blake. Musically, you were the bridge between the Velvet Underground and 1970s American punk, summoning the likes of Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Dylan, Callis, and Coltrane along the way. Your respect and awe for the talent of others has made you one of rock and roll's signature cover artists, from The Who's My Generation to Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit. No one should try to encapsulate your breadth and depth, your piercingly intimate photographs and volumes of lucid verse, your unapologetic activism and abiding humanity. There are the albums with Banga as recent as 2012, singles like Because the Night, co-written with Bruce Springsteen and a hit For a Reason, and of course, the award-winning book, Just Kids, your stirring requiem to love and loss that we've dog-eared and devoured. Life is the best thing we have, you say, and it's impossible not to believe you. So, Patti Smith, speaking for my colleagues on this faculty, the students here before you, New Yorkers and artists everywhere, we hail you with this token of our collective esteem, the 2014 Barnard Medal of Distinction. You have space on our playlists, a legendary place in our culture, and a piece of our hearts.
And now I have the great honor of presenting the citation for Cecile Richards. Cecile Richards, you are the voice of reason, the tireless advocate, unapologetic and cool as anything. In the vast and expanding universe of women's health, you stand front and center on the stage. But it was in the heartland of the Lone Star State where you got your start. The oldest of four, you found your principles in your father David, a respected civil rights attorney, and your toughness and moxie in your history-making mom, Anne, whose name and personality were as big as Texas toast. Talk around the dinner table was never small, focusing on sexism and social justice, discrimination, unions, and equal opportunity. When you headed to Brown University in 1975, you took that family dynamic and defiance along with you, fighting for causes that mattered and preparing for every battle yet to come. Since then, you've never demurred. Your first career was as an organizer, helping low-wage workers navigate less than ideal circumstances. On the job and on the picket line, you met Kirk Adams, your match and future husband. And in 1990, you moved together to Austin to help elect Ann Richards as governor. Following her norm-shattering, bully-busting, unforgettable term in office, you founded America Votes in 2004, a coalition of grassroots organizations committed to getting all people to the polls. You also served as Deputy Chief of Staff for House Democratic Leader Nancy Pelosi. As your mother liked to note, the days when women made the coffee and men made the decisions were long gone. You could almost hear a hallelujah echo in her Texas twang. When you became president of Planned Parenthood in 2006, you joined a movement that began nearly a century ago with activist and educator Margaret Sanger, a woman who, just like your mother, opened the door and held it there. You have built on that legacy with a clear head and a consistent stance, tackling some of the most controversial political issues of our time. You have been resolute amid fiery debates on contraception, women's health programs, and the value of sex education, aiming always to protect the principle that our bodies are ours and ours alone. Rarely, if ever, do you walk into a room where everybody agrees with you. And yet, through budget brawls, legislative reversals, and fervent protests, you never lose sight of your goal to build a healthier and safer world for women and girls. Today, Planned Parenthood can boast more than 700 health centers, services to nearly 3 million patients, 52 million online visitors, and an ever-increasing base of supporters, many on college campuses just like ours. When President Obama called you to say that birth control would be covered in the Affordable Care Act, you proudly knew that it was a moment that would change the lives of countless Americans. It is this determination and leadership, this conviction and dynamism, which we honor here today. Qualities that you share with your larger-than-life mother and your grandmother Eleanor, another woman who was ahead of her time, and qualities that you in turn have passed on to your daughters, Lily and Hannah, who are both organizing and rallying already like nobody's business. The feminist family footsteps are clearly marching on. Today, with a nod to the past and hopes for the future, I'm delighted to present you with the 2014 Medal of Distinction. Welcome, Cecile, to the Barnard Sisterhood of remarkable women, with all our gratitude, camaraderie, and respect.
Thank you. Thank you, President Spar, Board of Trustees, Patti Smith, wow. Ursula Burns, Mahzarin, Banaji. It's a tremendous honor to be mentioned alongside all of you. To beaming relatives and friends, proud and adoring parents, and the ecstatic graduates, class of 2014. It's been tremendous to see many of you speak today, just to see the support and love that you have for each other. Congratulations on a job well done. Yeah, give it up for yourselves. I'm incredibly honored to be here and a bit awestruck. So a couple of disclaimers before we get started. First, I actually didn't even walk in my own graduation ceremony because I was otherwise occupied. At the time, students at Brown were protesting investment in South Africa by the university, and well, somebody had to unfurl the banner from the second floor window, so why not me? And, but it even actually partially paid off. Brown was one of the first schools to divest from South Africa, and it was an incredible honor to be just a few years ago back on campus when Dr. Ruth Simmons presented Nelson Mandela with an honorary degree. That's progress in America. And second, as I guess is obvious, I'm not a Barnard alum, although it seems like 90% of the folks I work with at Planned Parenthood are. Really, it's incredible. From our chief operating officer to our board of trustees, Barnard alumni are pretty much running the place. So thank you for that to Barnard. And it is a privilege, of course, to be here with all of you strong, beautiful Barnard women today. Now, I sort of think you all are in a pretty sweet position because everyone from Tom Brokaw to Hillary Clinton is saying that this is the century of the woman. And wow, we've only had to wait 200,000 years for that, so we better get busy, right? Now, many of you I know, because I've already read about you, you've already carefully plotted out your future. Some of you have already written books, probably, and invented new apps and learned 5 languages. It's a little overwhelming for the rest of us. But if I could just speak for a moment to the other half of the class, who maybe aren't totally certain what's next, let me just say, most of us never are. And as you begin this exciting lifelong pursuit of figuring out what it's all about, I'd like to put in a plug for one option that your career counselor may not have suggested. Commencement speeches have to have a message, so this is it. Life as an activist and a troublemaker and an agitator is a tremendous option and one that I highly recommend to all of you. Yeah. Sorry, parents. But so in your 4 years, and some of this has already been mentioned, at Barnard you've produced the Vagina Monologues, you've worked Exactly. You've worked on mayoral and presidential campaigns, you've tutored kids in the neighborhood, you've taken back the night, and today you are getting ready to leave all of that behind you and become a fully functioning adult with a career. But all those amazing things that you've done over the last 4 years on campus could actually be your career. Think about it and lead to the most incredible life you could have. So we all do have to acknowledge, though, the privilege to which we're born, and you've already heard a little bit about mine. My parents were activists. Our dining room table was never where we ate dinner. It was where we sorted precinct lists or stuffed envelopes for whatever campaign my folks were working on. And growing up in Dallas in the 60s, my parents were hooked onto any movement that came through town. My dad was defending conscientious objectors to the Vietnam War. My mother was dragging us as kids to the grocery store to see if there was a Union label on the lettuce and the grapes. And then, of course, there was the day when she heard an activist named Gloria Steinem, and she came home, exactly, a new convert to this crazy thing called women's liberation. Now, my first brush with the authorities was in 7th grade. That was the day I wore a black armband to school to protest the Vietnam War, which was a heinous offense back in Texas. Now, being called to the principal's office at the tender age of 13, it was a revelation. But after surviving that standoff with Principal Tom Heston, I refused to take off my armband. It was great. I began a life of questioning authority, which isn't often popular and can be downright controversial. And I want to say, I know there's been some controversy about my appearance here today. So can I just say, I really appreciate the fact that Barnard students are the kind of people who don't have to agree with someone to listen to their thoughts. So thank you. Now, as you may know, Planned Parenthood was actually born in controversy, a tradition that we've done our best to uphold for 98 years. In 1916, Margaret Sanger opened the first illegal birth control clinic across the bridge to a place called Brooklyn. You probably haven't been there. But 10 days later, an undercover cop posing as a mother arrested her, threw her in jail, where she taught her fellow inmates about birth control, and a movement was born. And ever since then, I guess we've had sort of an affinity for challenging the status quo, something we share proudly with Barnard. So, as you know, Barnard was founded nearly 125 years ago, one of the first colleges to embrace this radical notion that women actually deserved access to higher education. And now, by the time the 70s and the 80s rolled around, women had infiltrated just about every college campus in the country, and we were no longer an exception. Actually, we were a pretty hot commodity, and everybody wanted women. And one by one, the Seven Sisters started coupling up with their co-ed counterparts, and all eyes turned to Barnard. As Barnard alum Anna Quinlan tells it, the conventional wisdom was at the time that Barnard should marry Columbia and take its name. But you know what? Barnard refused to fold. Now, I was reading back that 50 years ago, the New York Times was reporting on Barnard's commencement, noting with pride how many of the graduates of the class of 1964 were already married. They'd made it. Thankfully, the class of 2014 that's graduating today is redefining success in all new kinds of ways. Like the teacher who developed a history curriculum for high school students in Cape Town, and the entrepreneur who is raising money and awareness around gun violence. Educating and empowering women has turned out to be a growth industry, and Barnard was an early investor. But, you know, women have only ever gotten what we fight for, nothing more, and I hope nothing less. And we've been painfully reminded in the last few weeks that in too many parts of the world, women's education is still considered a radical idea. And girls can be shot, they can be kidnapped, they can be even enslaved for having the audacity to go to school. So our fight is far from over. And thank you, Barnard, for leading for more than a century this charge for women's education. Working for social change, it's hard to ever know if you're really making a difference. It's really hard to measure. Back when my mom was, when my great-grandmother was a girl in Texas, the only folks who couldn't vote under Texas law were quote, idiots, imbeciles, the insane, and women. But wouldn't you know it, just 2 generations later, my mother, Ann Richards, was elected governor of the state. And that's, yeah, but that's the thing about women. Give us an inch and we just won't quit. In the words of the legendary Congresswoman Bella Abzug, maybe we weren't at the Last Supper, but we're certainly going to be at the next one. So one of my favorite recent examples is passing the Affordable Care Act. And there was an argument actually in the Senate committee about women's health, one of many, where a male senator objected to insurance coverage for maternity benefits, saying that he would never need them. And Senator Debbie Stabenow came right back without missing a beat and said, I bet your mother did. But it's just more evidence that for women, if we're not at the table, we're on the menu. So having 20 women in the US Senate has made a huge difference. It has changed the conversation, though as Senator Claire McCaskill says, you know what would be better than 20? 50. So think about it. But it's not just politics. All over the world, fearless women are turning life as we know it upside down. Take Ori Okolu, who grew up in Nairobi, and she went to college and law school in the States, turned down a big job at a firm in Washington to come home after graduation for Kenya's 2007 election. Now, when the riots broke out in the polls, Ori teamed up with a few of her friends to create a crowdsourcing map that tracked incidences of violence in real time. They call it ushahidi, the Swahili word for testimony. Their platform is now being used around the world, tracking everything from corruption by members of parliament to survivors of the hurricane in Haiti. And as for Ori, if you want to know more about her, you can read all about her life on the Times list of 100 most influential people in the world. And then right here in New York, Reshma Sujani decided that high school girls who were encouraged could be superstars in the tech industry. So she started Girls Who Code, and chapters are now popping up all over the country with young women learning the skills they need to take on careers in computer science. And then there's Annie Clark and Andrea Pino, who met after they'd each been sexually assaulted as students at UNC and realized that what happened to them was happening everywhere and no one was talking about it. And so for the first time, they pitched their story to a reporter. The national reporter laughed. 2 months later, they were on the front page of the New York Times. And that's when the floodgates opened. They heard from hundreds of survivors all over the country. And then this March, Annie and Andrea showed up at Senator Kirsten Gillibrand's office without an appointment and said, we want to talk about ending sexual assault on campus. That's right. And as Annie tells it, we started talking and she listened. And today, they have formed a national network of survivors working with Congress and the White House to end campus sexual assault and demand justice, and it's about time. But the common theme in all this, these women didn't wait to be asked, they just jumped head first. To borrow some wisdom from one of your previous award winners, Lena Dunham, don't wait around for someone else to tell your story. Do it yourself by whatever means necessary. If you hold out for an invitation, chances are good you're going to miss the party. And by the party, I mean life. Growing up, Mom always told me, the answer to life is yes. This is the only life you get, so you got to make the most of it. Take absolutely every opportunity and risk that you can. You're only going to regret the things that you didn't try because you were afraid. Now, women often come to me, they're thinking about applying for a job and they're worried they don't have the right degree or that they don't have all the right experiences. Can I tell you, I have never had a man say that to me about any of that. Or that they want to have kids and how is that going to work out? Well, on that front, I was 8 months pregnant with twins campaigning for my mother, and you haven't lived until you've been on a parade float in the Jamboree Parade in East Texas in a giant maternity dress, okay? You can imagine. But my true confession to you is, every single job I've interviewed for, from Deputy Chief of Staff for Nancy Pelosi to running Planned Parenthood, I knew there was no way I was going to get it. But frankly, I knew my mother was going to kill me if I didn't try. So I'm just here to tell you, just do it. Whatever it is, say yes. You're Barnard graduates. You can do anything in the world. And as the late, great Nora Ephron said, be the heroine of your life, never the victim. And to all you parents out there, I know you're so proud of your daughters today, as am I. And trust me, if you think they're great as students, they're fantastic when they become fiercely independent adults. I've never cheered so loud as when my son Daniel became the vice president of the reproductive rights group on campus and they got birth control finally at Allegheny. Or my daughter Hannah, who, when Planned Parenthood was under attack, organized a rally in support of us, complete with flash mob at Wesleyan. And of course, there was a proud day this spring when Rush Limbaugh came after my daughter Lily right on the radio for being a feminist. Now that's bragging rights as a parent. I like to think it's the Richards tradition passed down through the generations. And my mom, she did teach me so much. The basics, never wear patterns on TV. If you're gonna be in the public eye, try to pick a hairstyle and stick with it. And before naming your child, please think about how it's gonna look on a bumper sticker. It's good advice. But the most important thing she taught me is that being an activist offers something that you can't get anywhere else, and that's getting to do work that makes a difference. Mom said, you know, you may go somewhere and make a lot of money, but you'll never receive the kind of gratification that you get when someone looks you in the eye and says, thank you for helping make my life better. The world can be tough, it can be unjust, but here's the great news. Every one of you has the power to do something about it. You get to build the world you want to live in. It's not about being perfect, about having it all, about doing it all. It's just about getting started. You've got work to do, so congratulations. Let's get to it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. You are nearly done. I will say some words now. There will be some additional pomp and circumstance. You will throw your caps in the air. You will scream. You will cry, some of you. And you will go celebrate with your family and friends. Then you will pack, probably cry some more, reportedly party a bit, then sweat Wednesday on the Columbia lawn, throw your caps in the air again, cry, those few of you who haven't yet, and then leave. Full stop, gone. On Thursday morning this week, when I go to work, all of you will be on your way. I always find it one of the saddest moments of my year, because one day we're all here celebrating, wearing goofy robes, hugging and applauding amid hundreds, thousands of happy people. And then the next day, you're all gone. And even though I will see you all, I hope, again, even though you will return to campus as young alums and class fund reps, as reunion coordinators and board members, and nervous mothers, perhaps someday, of your own Barnard applying daughters. You will never be on campus this way again, as students, as classmates, as the people who line up for coffee at the Diana and sit for hours under the magnolia tree. Instead, as of Thursday, you, like graduating seniors across the country and around the world, will each go off, suddenly and inevitably, to forge your separate lives. It won't be easy, I have to warn you, and it won't always be fun. Instead, as one recent grad once described it to me, you will probably feel for the next 6 months or a year, or maybe even 2 years, like freshmen in life, trying to decipher new ways of structuring your days and your relationships and your goals. Like freshmen, you will probably lie a little bit about how happy you are and how confident you feel about the choices you've made. And that's okay, because, spoiler alert here, no one really likes their first job out of college. Maybe Ursula Burns is the exception. Other than Ursula Burns, no one generally stays in that first job for very long. And success in this first position is only very rarely a predictor of one's long-term career trajectory. Thank goodness, because I was the world's worst volleyball referee. Over the next 12 months, I have to warn you, sadly again, you probably won't be discovering new territories just yet, or even quite saving the world. More likely, you'll be staring at computer screens, Xeroxing, attending meetings you don't quite understand, and tweeting for people my age, which is, again, perfectly okay. Because what you want from your first job, or your first year in graduate school, or your first year away, is to learn. Not to learn as you've learned here, with professors and libraries and laboratories, but to learn from experience and from experimenting. To learn what you like to do, to figure out what you're good at, and to begin to plot, slowly, who you want to be. Recently, I was asked to compile a list of the skills that young women need to succeed, regardless of the career or life they pursue. So here, roughly, is what I wrote, and what I believe to be true. First, all women, all people, need to be able to write, to put words on paper in a way that makes sense, in a way that conveys your meaning and purpose, and with the strength and eloquence to convince others of your point. Second, everyone needs to be able to speak strongly and with conviction and meaning. One of the best pieces of advice I can give all of you is to seize every single opportunity you have to speak before a group. Because someday, you will be talking in front of 6,000 people in Radio City Music Hall, and you will feel the pressure to do it well. As I must say, every single one of our student speakers did today. Third, and here's the bad part, every college graduate should learn at least a little bit about money. I know that many of you don't want to do this. You may think money is boring or unpoetic or only an issue for the greedy and self-obsessed. But regardless, anything you want to do in this world, whether it is to create art or improve health or save the planet from the devastation that my generation has sadly bequeathed you, all of that will eventually entail money. So learn at least how it works, how it's made, and know enough so that you can create and shape your own future. Fourth, every one of you should know or learn how to start over. How, in its simplest incarnation, to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. Every single one of you is leaving today with a specific set of dreams. Most of these dreams will not come true in this specific format. Trust me, I was supposed to be a spy. Not even close. So the trick lies in forging new dreams, in taking the zigs and the zags that life will inevitably toss you, and moving with them, polishing and refining and creating opportunities as they come. This is resilience, and it is truly the key to greatness. And finally, I'd like to end with a fifth skill, something that I think is particularly relevant here and today. And that is that you need to learn, we all need to learn, and constantly keep reminding ourselves to learn how to listen. Because sadly, Most of us fall prey, too often and too easily, to the seductive lure of talking only to those we like and those who already share our own opinions and worldview. We tend to eat with those people in the dining hall. We move into their neighborhoods. We hire and promote them. Even worse, we tend to believe that diversity means associating with people who look different from us or come from different backgrounds, but still essentially think the same way that we do. That's not real diversity. Real diversity is being with people and, crucially, listening to people who share different, even fundamentally different views. Real diversity means thinking about these views and examining these views, especially if you wholly disagree with them. Many of you have done that here today, and I appreciate your being here and listening to people and opinions that may be different from yours. You have set an example, and one that I hope all of our graduates, all of these amazing young women sitting in these first few rows today, will take with you and cherish as you venture out into that wonderful, scary, complicated, fascinating place known as the real world. I wish you luck as you venture forth. I wish you love. I wish you joy and adventure and the challenges that will test you and make you stronger. I wish you Godspeed, and I will miss you all. Congratulations. I will now be joined at the podium by Dean of the College, Avis Hinkson, who will present the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts.
I am honored to be standing here today to join the administration and staff of the college in expressing our great pride in your achievements. On behalf of the entire faculty of Barnard College, I offer hearty congratulations to all of the extraordinary women graduating today. Madam President, it is my privilege and great pleasure to present to you now the intelligent, entrepreneurial, powerful, technologically savvy, articulate, caring, globally minded, humorous, analytically critical, strategically minded, curious, and absolutely extraordinary young women of the class of 2014. I do so with mixed emotion, for we will certainly miss their presence on campus. Included are some members of the class on whom the degree was conferred last February, those who have completed this term the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Arts, and some who expect, indeed have sincerely promised, to complete work over the summer. I shall call only the names of those who are present here today. The order of presentation will be by major fields, and candidates will process to the platform as their names are called. Dearest family and friends and faculty, may I ask that you all please withhold your applause until the last senior has been presented. You're supposed to say yes, no. Africana Studies, Jalissa Jones. Gladine Innocent. Sophie Elman Golan. Rose Melando. Anna Sweebrook. American Studies, Caroline Carlson. Hannah Forrester. Sarah Goldfarb. Morgan Halberg. Leah Metcalf. Alexander Shapiro. Maddie Schneider, Melissa Haney, Anthropology, Eleanor Bray, Anna Frosch, Yona Gorlick, Xing Ha, Kelsey Kephart, Leah Kraus, Molly Kruger, Julia Leach, Gina Lee, Renee Marpet, Abigail Marshall, Olivia Parker, Alexandria Petaruti, Maud Reville, Rachel Salmon, Rachel Sherman Presser, Ashana Seth, Tahira Skolnick, Emily Tressler, Alejandro Arue, Ilana Hubert, Isabella Langone, Maura Slagle, Caroline Thurkill, Helenka Lekowski Ostrom. Architecture, Cami Baomen Yeager, Dear Brawley, Emily Cass, Teresa Kaplan, Tina Kuo, Emily Lynn, Madeline Lowenthal, Laura Moranto, Cleo Modlin, Nicole Ohanian, Michaela Reeser, Nazla Donis, Art History, Morgan Albahari, Julia Ahn, Anastasia Block, Anna Carolyn, Rebecca Cohen, Owen Crawford, Christina Eliopoulos, Jacqueline Herenstein, Raina Himmelin, India Lovato, Andrea Metz, Laura Peshek, Caroline Perez, Paige Robinson, Allison Rosen, Twyla Shellmeyer, Talia Spitzer, Julia Stern, Valerie Wong, Catherine Werwe, Claire Austin Kulat, Molly Brick, Camille Gallardo, Sarah Lippman, Megan McCara, Julia Murray, Sarah Powell, Stephanie Wasser, Julia Walkoff, Caroline Yopes, Asian and Middle Eastern cultures, Ava Asiai, Joanna Barnett, Paulina Carey. Ashley Chun. Michelle Lamb. Quinn Leary. Shinyi Lin. Meredith Moore. Emily Neal. Leon Ramos. Gabriela Romo. Wan Wang. Leah Friedlander. Aisha Fazell. Tinchi G. Eliana Mintz. Soyoon Kim. Biology. Francis Bullard. Carrie Kaiser. Allison Cohen. Kathleen Cronin. Hannah Flesh. Maria Geba. Selena Calick. Janet Lee. Felicity Nosike. Tammy Ong. Rovina Peterjoka. Jessica Sam. Elise Shapiro. Sarah Stano. Samantha Williams. Jenny Wu. Hannah Yan. Julia DeSenza. Marilyn Arasso. Ashlyn Crank. Madeline Hershon. Margaret Meng. Jessica Wang. Chemistry. Christina Cleveland. Diana Garofalo. Rabia Iqbal. Siobhan McCardle. Camille Simonu. Wei-Ting Chen. Judy Gong. Blanca Janicek. Lindsay Walker. Classics and Ancient Studies, Hillary Brooks. Kara Krakauer. Zuzana Gertlova. Comparative Literature. Ludvika Patsini. Hanasita. Juliana Strong. Jessica Whitlam Cooper. Maria Manuela Albert. Computer Science. Gila Gutfriend. Lindsay Heller. Anata Pandey. Lauren Stefanian. Nora Wixom. Emily Limone. Dance. Isamar Lopez. Lillian Perlman. Marjorie Shimpton. Liana Gergley. Kay Phillips. Chelsea Keys. Economics. Victoria Albert. Rosa Amin Chiaglo. Andrea Barrentos. Olivia Benjamin. Gisela Boresta. Sarah Bridge. Sophia Kasem. Hannah Seha. Valinda Chan. Janelle Chang. Yukyan Chang. Tiffany Chow. Tasmiha Chowdhury. Tinsley Corbett. Mary Cosgrove. Danpanjali Dolmia. Xingwei Deng. Anna Etra. Candace Fox. Matla Garcia Chavola. Jacqueline Gutman. Tingyang He. Marguerite Horikawa. Caitlin Johnson. Isla Karioko. Sharon Conder. Joey Lee. Xuanjun Lee. Chelsea Lowe. Gabrielle Mervis. Yvonne Misery. Shantira Overton. Kathleen Peardon. Paula Poulin. Shawa Chu. Ritsu Ritzal. Elena Rofel. Eva Sassoon. Sylvia Skodro. Hua Shang. Robin Simpson Mackay. Anuvit Singh. Victoria Steinbrook. Eliza Taylor. Emily Ulrich. Joyce Wong. Shin Woon. Greta Workman. Diana Yao. Doreen Young. Ren Wu. Caitlin Bolin. Samantha Herzog. Camilla Coe. Sophia Mellon. Ugachun Kwo Ohedo. Alana Pacheco. Rachel Rosen. Clemence White. Yuchu Chung. Geraldine Chung. Namonga Quindaquema. Daniela Male. Elizabeth O'Riordan. Lorraine Shub. Yung-Chin Chow. Anita Warner. Faye Suya. June Wang. Jenny Schroeder. English. Deanna Bennett. Mariah Bess. Danielle Blake. Nora Rara. Hannah Choi. Erin Eckstein. Gwen Fischel. Janelle Fong. Erin Fortgang. Christy Grimm. Allison Gronowitz. Michaela Hirsch. Savannah Cooper. Rachel Leiberberg, Rebecca Litvin, Marlis McClellan, Marielle O'Connell, Jillian Oswald, Madeline Pantalina, Sade Quintanilla, Maitland Whitmire, Rachel Schwartzman, Michaela Shapiro, Emily Shea, Hannah Tippett, Hannah Tolchin, Megan Tuttle, Miriam Varja, Samantha Moffett, Anna Schuler, Rachel Bass, Miriam Lynch, Jacqueline Camp, Alessandra Clark, Kayla DeRoche, Aliza Goldberg, Beatrice Hellman, Brooke Jaffe, Cleo Levin, Cassandra Mendes, Madeline Shapiro, Eliana Levinson, Carmen Wren, Caroline Henderson, Lindsay Furcade, Ashley Galgano, Environmental Science, Joanna Bauzua, Caitlin Dutton, Christy Fan, Valerie Giapudas, Leora Hostak, Deborah Shkar, Elizabeth Adkins, Lauren Bailey, Heidi Keller, Carol Kim, Audrey Massman, Shahu Kwan, Crystal Qualo, Rachel Silvern, Carly Wertheim, Jamie Yu, Ashley Wagner, European Studies, Kelsey Otten, Film Studies, Ariel Bernstein, Chelsea Carrick, Phoebe Fisher, Jada Nation, Nirali Pandiri, Gina Picardo, Brittany Portman, Dacia Simin, Deborah Wexel, Ashleen Wicklow, Eliza Rosen, French, Abigail Feinberg, Zaina Gillis, Nina Kurtzman, Julia Stone, Caroline Brown, History, Nikili Birmingham, Esther Brock, Tara Burns, Rebecca Cohn, Hannah Dintz, Angela Dragon, Clara Fisher, Shane Fishman, Lauren Goreb, Mary Greathead, Amanda Kane, Emily Kauai, Julia Ko, Tamar Lafer, Michelle Lappin, Gabrielle Lewis, Olivia Manny, Grace McCray, Margaret Mender, Toby Milstein, Dana Roberts, Andrea Shang, Avital Stolzenberg Myers, Shelby Swartz, Charlotte Volpe, Adriana Kamaj, Linguistics, Camille Inge, Kalila Kahana, Mathematics, Rebecca Bata, Dara Leedy, Hayden Martinez, Hadass Zilberger, Angelica Kuzma, Emily Huff Kovac, Rocky Agarwal, Mary Ng, Yingten Yang, Oyi Liu. Music, Christina Dorset, Catherine Mullen, Deborah Rosenbaum, Hannah Rosenbaum, Julia Sales, Neuroscience and Behavior, Dina Al-Bahari, Al-Rabadi, I'm sorry, Al-Rabadi, Natasha Anthony, Eliana Applebaum, Rachel Barnes, Mary Barr, Katina Kalokos, Laura Checkley, Maitreyi Choksky, Ilana Cohen, Olivia Goldman, Brianna Hill, Tamina Kair, Lily Kosminski, Sophie Lieberman, Sumit Minhas, Vasiliki Papa Germanos, Sarah Pasik, Eliza Pelrine, Nazifa Rahman, Sumeya Rajanjan, Ursula Rogers, Michelle Swartz, Mary Tajiri, Eileen Young, Ileana Zucker-Schwaff, Leora Zwan-Ziger. Philosophy, Jamie Chu, Carmen Holtby, Nadia Huffer, Samantha London, Kylie Shields, An Wang, Lee Wan, Adrian Isaacson. Physics and Astronomy, Jocelyn Farrar, Cassidy Mack, Joanna Rappaport. Political Science, Isabel Agudo, Patricia Argueta, Danielle Harjay, Anna Barr, Emily Chase, Catherine Christensen, Danielle Deludi, Olivia Domba, Alyssa Fieldstein, Danielle Fong, Catherine Fox, Yakira Heller, Gabriella Joseph, Esther Kim, Nicole Klein, Rachel Mazer, Rebecca McCarthy, Anqui Nee, Ayelet Pearl, Christina Fan, Zoe Plotsky, Anna Proti, Nino Rekvia Shavilli, Tamara Roth, Elizabeth Sadarov, Abigail Schoenfeld, Simona Stakeve Chute, Kelsey Stern Buckbinder, Amanda Stibble, Phoebe Tronzo, Avery Vaughn, Claire Wampler, Marie Bellinger, Arnisa Bakrapashari, Marielle Cotru, Sanjana Farah, Gabrielle Fromar, Kabet Yabede, Alma Deborah, Maureen Galvez, Sarah Levine. Psychology. Talia Abraham, Rochelle Adis, Sultana Ahmed, Anissa All, Amy Blocker, Blair Bloomquist, Rachel Bolnick, Fiona Bracho Perez, Samantha Pressman, Rachel Shideko, Brittany Chu, Skylar Dickey, Alana Devine Dunn, Elizabeth Fielder, Priscilla Flores, Mary Lou Fonte, Emily Goldstein, Hope Gong, Magdalena Gilfaldo, Amy Gutierrez, Eleanor Inman, Gabriella Ikta, He Kang, Rebecca Kaplan, Layla Khalili, Salmia Khan, Elizabeth Kinsey, Crystal Leon, Jasmine Leon, Shara Lumpkin, Christina Madsden, Gabriella Manzini, Shamika October, Emma Hendry Abber, Nikki Press, Sarah Shedborsky, Natalie Chin, Hillary Rieger, Sarah Rogers, Jennifer Senior, Eugenia Seo, Talia Silber, Melanie Simonson, Amrita Singh. Danielle Tobman. Talia Wakpress. Zenkui Wang. Andrea Wyckoff. Regina Yang. Wanji Yi. Amarel Hamel. Religion. Mino Cooper. Mikal Dicker. Margaret Gibbon. Dana Gordon. Ali Carmenson. Jessica Levinson. Gabrielle Siegel. Amanda Thumb. Cassandra Hartnett. Madeline Richer. Slavic. Shelley Farmer. Aisling Hunt. Georgia Nauer. Sociology. Catherine Chamberlain Harrington. Julia Coletti. Zoe DiBenedetto. Catherine Donna. Elizabeth Feldman. Christina G. Isabelia Herrera. Hannah Ingber. Adina Jitt. Sarafina Kiesman-Nicklin. Stephanie Manheim. Alexandra Memi. Jordana Moser. Emily Segura. Sharon Huang. Mariah Pluckett. Spanish and Latin American cultures, Ana Batista. Svetlana Kopsova. Rose Michaels. Martha Zamora. Ilana Villar. Theater. Naomi Boyce. Fiona Bruner. Jessica Castro. India Choquette. Katrina Aaron. Emily Feinstein. Juliana Fox. Elisa Gibbon-Braden. Elizabeth Gottler. Alessandra Cortenson-Horst. Amelia Lembeck. Olivia Levine. Jessica Malcolm. Rebecca Miller. Alexis Wilcock. Urban Studies. Jordan Steingart. Gabrielle Strauss. Tessa Andrew. Kara Klicheski. Mary Bauer. Catherine Scarvo. Zeba Abdullah. Hillary Shine. Sarah Pierce. Alexandra Russo. Evelyn Kim. Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies. Nicole Mabry. Peja Miller. Ashley Rainier. Miriam Glecklinden-Krug. And now we would like to present our senior marshals. Ariel Belfer. Brittany Binderoff. Gina Borden. Mia Cooper. Elizabeth DeLuna. Casey Dragon. Erica Esposito. Elaine Gottesman. Aliza Hassim. Valerie Hua. Natalie Young. Eliana Kaplowitz. Malvina Kafalas. Kavisha Kanuja. Adair Kleinpetter Ross. Calliope Kayakadis. Veronica Lai. Nina Laime. Ravi Mahmood. Shelby Manichia. Nadine Mansour. Samantha Mark. Lauren Michelson. Pauline Mulvihill. Gloria Noel. Sinead Roban. Alexandra Stracula. Charlene Thrope. Lacey Tompkins. Ellen Watkins. Nikki Weiner. Maya Zinko. Stephanie Fernandez. And Madeline Popkin.
It is my privilege, acting on the authority delegated to me by the Board of Trustees and on behalf of the faculty of Barnard College, to present these students just named at the Columbia University commencement ceremony to be held Wednesday morning for the degree of Bachelor of Arts with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. That means you're graduated.